We're all here. So wait, Lennon, do you know a lot about the Jed Foundation or no? I told you a little bit.
Only through you, yeah. Everything I know is through you.
So it's just like, it's a really good nonprofit for, all different victims of mental health, which I obviously super relate to. I think you probably do too. I think all creatives do, honestly. Like, we struggle with it so much, which is why I wanted to do this. And Rylie, Rylie, you can tell a little bit what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a music therapist, and basically as a music therapist working in mental health, I'm sure Lennon and Jenna, you both know how music can be so beneficial for self-expression, and just really validating those emotions that we're experiencing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wait, what'd you say, Rylie?
I was just saying I do a lot of that, lots of different ways. Songwriting is a great way, which I'm sure both of you, are familiar with, and analyzing different music that's already created, as well as improvising and just moving through those emotions that we're experiencing.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think that, like, honestly, I think a lot of people feel like they have to hide their anxiety because they feel like embarrassed about it, or like, you know what I'm saying? I think that's why this kind of platform is so cool, especially now because it's such a hard time. And I think it's weird to admit that you're like going through it, because people don't realize that basically,
for sure,
like some kind of form of anxiety, especially kids. Like, it was interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said that, actually, Lennon, I think you're doing something with the Kids Help Phone, right?
Not that I know of. What is it?
Oh, well, anyway, there's something called the Kids Help Phone in Canada. Basically, they're saying that there's like 70% more calling about some sort of like suicide.
No, right now is the crazy. I was just talking to my mom about this. It's like, it's so weird, and I think everybody, we kind of all feel like we're in the same boat in a way right now, but I can't even imagine like kids who, like their families, maybe it's not like a super stable, like school could be their like getaway, like going out, leaving the house could be like sanctuary. So like being stuck at home is actually so scary for so many people. And it's a crazy, crazy time. And obviously we only know like what is our perspective. And I can't imagine like the kids like that who are going to school and stuff like that is actually their like escape. And then now that is taken away from them, where they're being stuck at home is not a positive thing, like it is for some people. So.
Yeah, like it's like, what they were saying? They were like, apparently the kids were like, the main thing they miss is taking the school bus. Isn't that crazy? They were like, I just miss interacting with the kid, like with other friends on the way to school, or just like basic things like hugging. Like, kids actually are expressing the fact that they miss making human contact with people, right? And it's like, we have like, that is the formative years. So imagine the anxiety created in this time right now. We have
even if you're a kid and like you don't even actually, it's subconscious, like you don't know it as anxiety yet. It's just a feeling, you know what I mean? Like it's something you just feel. It's not like, I think when you get older, you start to understand like the ins and outs of actually feeling anxiety or feeling stress or whatever it is. But when you're a kid, it's just like a feeling, and that's all you know it as. And especially right now, like the things that they're being like deprived from, I feel like it's just a feeling. They don't even know it as anxiety, which could even be more scary because it's like, what even is this?
Oh my God. I mean, listen, when I got my first panic attack, I thought I was dying. I was like, remember literally like my heart was jumping. I was like on the corner of some place in LA, and I was like, my heart is literally like, I feel like I'm going into cardiac arrest. And it was just, I went to the hospital and the doctor was like, you're just having a panic attack, which is crazy.
That exactly happened to my mom. Like, in a way, like it's both lucky, and I mean, I'm surrounded by only creatives, and like being raised by just like creatives, I like have been raised in that environment where they're both so open about it, and that my parents both are like very much struggle with it. And there isn't like, it's been such an open thing in my family of like, there's no stigma with it. But like that, like if I didn't have that, I would have like getting my first panic attack or feeling that like feeling of anxiety and just like feeling like my whole world is about to explode is like I luckily was surrounded by it in a way. I mean, I guess it can be lucky and not in both
Exactly.
ways,
But
but
yeah.
I feel like, you know, I learned about it from such a young age, and seeing, you know, my parents like struggle with it. It's just like an open. I think when it's open and when you don't feel weird, you don't feel like, you know, something's wrong with you, then everything is better. And I think it's been like that.
It's true. I mean, you're so right. Like with creative people, it does help because every creative, like we are like, well, I don't know. I can't actually say, but I mean, obviously we only know that because we're around creative people, but like for just because you're constantly having to be on and feel the need to like always be like not necessarily yourself, which is really difficult. So I think if you have other creatives that are in the same boat, it, like you said, it can be, the anxiety is worse, but the comfort's better because you feel like at least you're not like alone, you know, which I think is amazing. But yeah, so I mean, this is why I wanted to do this and talk about sort of how music helps as a form of therapy. And like I think Rylie has some really good questions too for you, Lennon. So I don't know, Rylie, if you wanted to start.
Yeah, I mean, all of that kind of leads me into lots of different ways that even outside of music therapy, which is, you know, just like going to see a therapist, you have goals and things that you're working on. But just using music as an everyday person or a creative artist like yourselves, there's so many different things you can do. And Lennon, I wanted to ask you, congratulations on your new album, by the way. Yeah. I wanted to kind of just use this as an example to ask you if there was a certain song off your album that you've really been resonating with or that's been stuck in your head recently.
I was talking to Emily Warren, who I wrote this song with, Weakness. And it's funny because this song, like, it has taken on in my life like a whole new meaning. At the time of writing it, it was about something totally different. And basically it's about just being able to kind of silence the crazy of everything going on and somehow successfully like shoving under the rug but not really feeling like you are. And I think then there's that one person, which for me it's my sister, that kind of like unravels it. And I think right now, in a lot of ways, all of us are doing that without really knowing. Like there's no way that we're fully able to like comprehend what's actually happening right now, because it's just like so intense and it's like so much information. And even just, you know, like getting like news alerts on our phones, like it's so hard to kind of balance, like, do I read, do I dive in, or do I kind of shield myself from it, because it's like so scary and just so unknown, and we have no way of controlling it, which is like not a good feeling. So that song for me, I guess right now, I think is completely heightened. And there's that thing of like, there's just so much going on that I think subconsciously I'm actually just not dealing with. And I don't think that I'm capable of, because it's just so intense, you know? And I think a lot of people are dealing with that right now, where it's literally a matter of like, we're not able to comprehend the, like, just how real it really is.
So Rylie, I have a question for you, just in that respect. Like, what do you think in terms of being a music therapist? Like, are there certain things that you find like as tricks or methods using music that can really like help, you know, just like the things that maybe we're not even aware of? Like, obviously we're saying, you know, like these things, like it is therapy to write music, let's be honest. But I don't know, from like your perspective, is there anything that you use or anything that just kind of feels like maybe for us we don't even notice that is actually the thing that's being the therapeutic point in making music?
Yeah, so, you know, Lennon, if you were a music therapy client, we could take kind of just what you were saying, reflecting how you're processing the music, and really dig deep into that subconscious that you're talking about that might not even be on your awareness. But because you're resonating with this song, I mean, you wrote it, you know, you're kind of digging into that area. And as a music therapist, you know, that would be different work with clients where we could go really deep and access those layers that are really hidden inside our subconscious that we might not be able to process, you know, by ourselves. And definitely doing that with a therapist is a great idea, whether it is, you know, board certified music therapist or a therapist. But just for general, trying to get in contact with your inner self, really paying attention and being intentional about the music that you're listening to. And
Wow, yeah.
asking yourself, like, why am I, so attracted to this song right now? Why is it stuck in my head? What could that be bringing up?
That's great.
And that can be like a starting place. Like maybe, like Jenna and Lennon, you were saying how it's even hard to recognize that we have anxiety sometimes. So that could be a starting place of just analyzing a song that's been stuck in your head and realizing maybe I'm not feeling as great as I've told everybody that I'm feeling. And then from there, taking matters into your own hands, whether that's going to talk to a therapist, going to, see a music therapist, or all sorts of other self-care things that you can start to do because you're aware that you're not feeling great.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, you go. No,
You go.
I was gonna say, what, like, when people generally come to you for music therapy, is it kind of like, is it similar just to normal therapy? Like, do you come in and say, like, listen, I've been feeling really upset about this, like, okay, and so you basically suggest like a song, like, to what, like, I'm curious about that process. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because for every person it's completely different.
Okay.
For some people, sure, listening to classical music can help them relax, but for most people that's not the case. And everybody kind of understands that when you hear that your music is your music and it reflects who you are. So the more that we can process that together as a music therapist and a client, the more that we can figure out what's really going on with you and make steps from there, whether that's reframing our thoughts from more negative thinking patterns to developing more healthy, positive thinking patterns, or creating, hope for ourselves that we didn't see that was possible. And for different people, we're going to do different things. Some people's songwriting might be an intervention that we could use. For some people, it's improvising on instruments, that we choose an instrument that resonates and reflects with how we're feeling. And we play through those emotions, because sometimes actively playing helps us also realize what we're experiencing and helps us begin to develop better patterns. There's so many different things that we do, but yeah, to answer your question, I work with people with a wide range of mental health, other substance abuse disorders, anywhere from anxiety to addictions, personality disorders, and things in between.
It was funny, like one time I remember, like, years ago, I did a session and I went in and this guy was all like, music is therapy. And I was like laughing about it. But then I was like, wait, I now reflect on that moment thinking that was so cheesy, but he was so right. Like, it is therapy because, and obviously you know that, but again, it's one of those things where you're like, I don't even know how much I needed this today. It's the same way that, like, what you're saying about weakness, Lennon, like, I feel like at the end of the day, different songs resonate with you all the time. Like, even like listening to your album, like, I'll listen to certain things and hear it a totally different way depending on what mood I'm in. Do you know what I mean? I'll be like, oh my God, like, this never touched me way, or like, or any song really. I mean, like, you could listen to a song and be like, oh, I can't hear this today, obviously, right? Or like, for whatever reason. I think that's whether you're doing it or making it, it's like,
I like what you said about like being intentional about like what you're listening to, or even just like being aware of why you're attracted to it. It's the same thing too, like certain things I like really don't like hearing if it sounds like really harsh, and like sometimes I'm like, ooh, like there's certain things that, like, as much as I like listening to, there's other things that I just like can't listen to, and things that sound really intense or like harsh sounding, it like triggers the same way, it triggers something that does not feel good as the same as something that is really nice to me, feels nice and feels like a calming thing to hear. So I feel like just being intentional with what you listen to is so interesting. I don't think a lot of people do that.
It's so true. Oh my God. And it just made me think, like, how if something really bad happens in a place, like, it's the same sensory feelings where we're like, if you have like a restaurant or like a type of food or something that you've like had that reminds you of something bad, it's the same way as music. Like, you don't want to like go back to that moment, or like it may be like your fucking favorite song you've ever heard, but you're like, I never want to hear it again. It's like,
sure. Or if it like hits too close to home and sometimes it's like so uncomfortable to listen to because it like brings up so much that's like overwhelming.
Exactly. Wait,
Yeah.
so Rylie, what was the second thing you were gonna? I'm looking at this, the anxiety. Great. That's a cool question.
I think so. You know, everybody uses music in different ways. So I was just wondering, Lennon and Jenna, for you as well,
Yeah.
how you've used music in the past to support you or carried you through coping with anxiety, grief, any other life stressors that you've gone through.
Yeah, I mean, really music, because my parents like instilled it in both my sister and I from such a young age, it is seriously every feeling, every emotion I feel is all tied to music. Like whatever it is, it's really surrounded by the music I listen to and also the music I make. Like going into a session and writing is so much it's just a healing thing for me. So I mean, I think, yeah, I mean sessions for sure.
I love Zoom. It's
Did my thing just like cut off? Did it show the photo?
no, but I just think it's so
SOS.
funny. Zoom is like the new. It's like ridiculous.
Maisie just FaceTimed me. What a little brat.
Okay.
Yeah. What was I just saying?
No, you were just saying how sessions, like, no, it's true. I mean, same thing we've been saying. It's just like so. It's
Sure.
such a therapy, right? Because you talk about all the shit you're going through. You have to.
For sure. And also like, yeah, hearing certain songs that definitely like ease me. Like there's this one song, Claire de Lune, that's literally just a piano song that for some reason, when I hear this song, if I put headphones on, it literally feels like someone is just like hugging me. It's the weirdest thing. I've had this connection with this song since like I was a little kid. It literally, when I hear the song, I'm just like, everything's okay. It's just like so cool. No matter where I am, like if I'm on tour and I don't have anyone out with me or something, I literally hear the song and I'm like, I don't know what it is. But I think, yeah, people, like everyone should have that song. And if you don't have it, you should try and find it, you know, something or anything, not even
How do you wait, should we, I don't even know how to go into this chat, but how do you spell it?
Claire de Lune.
Yeah, it's like just
It's CLAIREDELDELUNE. Claire
okay.
de
Well,
Lune.
everyone should look that up because actually, oh yeah, Claire.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've shared this song a million times. It's like, it's just a really pretty piano song. But I think, yeah, if it's like a piece of music or like even just like if you listen to like meditation and there's like a really pretty sounds going on or like even just synths or whatever it is, any sort of thing like that that like kind of makes you feel at ease, I think it's so important to find that and then just like have that in your back pocket if you ever need it.
oh my god, that, I mean, I don't know. Wait, have you posted about that a ton? I don't think I've seen it.
Not enough. I'm like, I don't want to shove it down people's throats because it just works for me, but I've definitely posted that song. It's my favorite.
Lennon, you kind of like hit the nail on the head. It's like whatever song you resonate with individually. It's definitely not like a universal thing. Every song will work for every person, but it's very much like each person and each moment, which Jenna said, like even moments throughout the day are different for each person.
Totally. Yeah. I think it's such a personal connection thing. Like, yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say, you know, like it's so funny, and I have to bring up the song just because, like everybody else, is such. I feel like for you, like the song that, like, it's like the mental health anthem because it's like everybody feels like that.
Totally.
That song, or like, I literally remember the moment I was, you sent it to me, and I was in like an Uber, and I remember texting you like, "Oh my god, like this is just because it's like everyone, like you can never win that battle." And that's what's so good about that song. It's just like every single person feels that way and is ashamed to say that they feel that way, you know? So I don't know. What was that like making that song? I mean,
oh my gosh. I remember that being the most, Aaron and I talk about it all the time because it was like an overwhelmingly emotional day. I think every time I'm in the room with Aaron and Egg White too, who produced it and wrote it with us, it was just like so emotional. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's one of the, what'd you say?
Did you cry?
Come on, Jenna. You know I cry every session. No, that one was like, tears overflow. I mean, I literally cry every session, but like, just imagine that one.
No, I mean, to it still now. I mean, legit, it's one of my favorite lyrics, like not even biased, like one of my favorite lyrics of any song. It's so, I love it.
No, but that's, I mean, I think kind of like what you just said is exactly what it is, of like, it's something that we're all like kind of, not maybe it's not everybody, I don't want to say all, but like me, and I think people that resonate with this feeling kind of are like slightly ashamed of it, or it's not even ashamed, it's more like something we don't, like, you just feel it in your subconscious, you just don't like actively like talk about it or think about how you're feeling in that way, because it's like almost embarrassing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like almost like weird. It's like uncomfortable. So I think with this song, it was like, it was just pulling out of somewhere that wasn't really comfortable, which ended up being the most comfortable because I got it out of my system and kind of like.
Is that why you think? Like, what made you, I'm just curious, like, was it something that you'd been like feeling or thinking, or like?
Oh, for sure. I mean, when this song was written, it was like, I remember talking to Aaron about it a lot, and it was like this peak. It was like a very heightened feeling when we wrote the song of like, it was actually Instagram and social media at the time. It's like now I think the meaning of it has changed, but when I wrote it, it was about that, and just about like that, you know, that being a small part of it, but like feeling like there's just so many versions of you out there, like so many people doing it all, and it's just like, like it's so hard to find this individuality and like feel like you are sticking out in a crowd, and also like feel like even if nobody else is seeing you stick out, like I want to feel like I stick out as a human, you know. And
exactly.
Yeah, it gets tough, and really like genuinely at the time it was so much from Instagram, because I'm just like, you scroll and there's just so many versions and so many like option B's and just C's and D's and all, there's so many versions of you, and it's like, I don't know, that it kind of gets overwhelming. And I think I think that song kind of changes its meaning to me all the time, and I allow it to do that and just feel it for whatever it means, you know.
No, 100%. And that's another example of a song that I think can just like, it's one of those things that as much as it may come from a place of being unsure, like feeling, you know, like you said, like you're not really sure how you can like, you know, be individual or have people see you for like one, you know what I mean? Like, especially in a world of social where everything's fake, which is, you know, but no, I know obviously now it can transition to any sort of form, but I think everyone can relate to that because everyone wants to feel special. That's why, like, I just had a birthday. It made me think like everyone on their birthday wants to feel loved, right? It's the same thing.
It's a human response. You want to feel special. You want to feel different and unique, and like you don't just blend in. And I think, we all crave that, and it's just really hard to when we see everybody's like best versions shoved down our throats at all times. You know, it's like it's just difficult. Yeah.
And it's so funny because that's why I love doing this stuff, because at the end of the day, everyone feels the same. When you actually talk to somebody, they're going to be like, oh my God, I feel like that too.
Response, human like feelings. I think that's what people like with writing music and stuff. That's like my favorite thing, because I think ultimately, if I'm honest, there's going to be people who feel it too, because it's literally, we're just human beings and we feel things the same. Like, it's just like, I'm like, it makes so much sense to me. But like, we're all just, we all feel it. And I think for sure it can get, you know, you can feel isolated and you can feel lonely. Like, you know, there's definitely times when I feel like completely alone in a feeling, and there's no way anybody could possibly understand what I'm going through or what I'm feeling. But yeah, there always is.
But then there is, because you bring it up in a session and then you're like, oh my God, you actually relate. That's how crazy is that?
Totally.
But you have to be brave enough to like admit it. And I think that's one of the main things that to come out of this. I think as much as it is hard to talk about it, the best therapy is to talk to somebody about it. Because if you repress it, and I don't know, Rylie, maybe you can, you know, chime in or whatever, but I've always felt like the best therapy is to express it. And I can't, like, I'm not the person that can ever just like let it sit, because it will explode at some point, and that's when you get the worst, or like the worst comes out of you. So I feel like the best form of that is just to be like purge, like just throw it all.
And even if it doesn't have to be to somebody else, it literally could just be to yourself, as long as you're like being honest and open with yourself about it, and like understanding and accepting and like not shoving it down. I think when you get comfortable, you know, letting yourself hear it, then you can go to somebody else and you can talk about it, you know, out loud.
Yeah, and you just drop the ego, right? And you can't feel like somebody's going to judge you. That's the issue, is where people feel like they're going to be judged, or they're going to feel like, you know, they can't express themselves because it's like, oh, you're going to think I'm stupid, or like maybe, you know, if you said something that happened to you, maybe people wouldn't, you know, you feel like they would make fun of you. I mean, a lot of kids feel that way. You know what I mean? Like if you cry or you say something, they'll be like ashamed about it, but they shouldn't, because honestly, like we said, this is just stuff like literally it's silly, but it's like going to the bathroom. It's that human, right? It's
totally, we all shower naked. So yeah.
Okay, Lennon, I know you don't have a lot more time. So Rylie, is there anything else you want to ask Lennon from her album before we go?
I guess I just wanted to ask what you would suggest for people struggling with any kind of issues right now. And I will say, you know, for anyone that's interested in music therapy, going to musictherapy.org is just a super great place to learn more, because there is help out there for you, even if you feel like there isn't. And I think just like Lennon and Jenna have been saying, reaching out to somebody who you can trust can be really important. Especially knowing, like Lennon said earlier, some people are in homes where they don't feel super safe right now. So being able to reach out to people that they can trust and get help in a safe, validated space is really important. So any other suggestions you have from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I love all of this. I think it's so cool to talk about it, and it's so important. And I think, yeah, finding something, whatever it is for you that feels good to you. I mean, like, yeah, me, it's writing, but a lot of, you know, it may not be that for everybody. And I think finding something that feels really good to you and makes you feel just comfortable and understood and safe and validated and all the things that, as you know, we need to feel. I think it's just important to find that, and then just have that and use that when you need it, and that can kind of be your little safe haven. I think it's so important to have that, because if you don't, like, you can just feel like so lost and so swept up in whatever it is. So just having something that kind of feels like an anchor to you, I think, is so important.
It's such a good point. As you were saying, that just made me think, like, even something as silly as like making a list of like 5 things that you like about yourself in your notes on your phone,
Whatever.
right?
Or taking like 10 minutes a day to like sit and just not be on your phone, not be on any sort of anything, and just like exist with yourself. I've literally been trying to do this every day. Like taking 15 minutes a day of like not doing anything and actually just like sitting and be like, so visualizing some things I want, you know, thinking, using my brain for like 15 minutes and just like existing is so important. I think, yeah, whatever it is for you that feels good and that makes you like feel in tune with yourself, I think it's so important.
Do you take your phone with you when you do that, or is it just like literally not?
I'm getting back. I used to do it all the time. I used to take 15 minutes a day and fully like visualize and just manifest.
Right. And you're, I mean, Lennon's like
I can do it so well, but like but I stopped doing it for a while, and I feel like now with all this going on, it's like been a time where I feel like just uneasy, I think, in a lot of ways, and I'm using it to really get back in and just get as in tune with myself as I possibly can, and just feeling all of what's going on inside of me. I think it's good for everybody.
Go put your album out during this whole thing, because I mean, I think you'll never forget this moment in history, like for your career. I think like you put this piece of work that obviously is the most emotional, because that's who you are, and you manifest, and you're so like connected to people. That's what I love about you. So the fact that you actually released this piece of art during this period, imagine like the impact. It's pretty cool. Like, honestly, no, I mean,
it makes me,
I wonder how many people were crying. I'm just kidding.
No, I saw someone comment that I'm crying. Why am I crying right now? I was like, don't cry. Okay.
I was like, okay, this can't get too emotional.
Jenna, between me and you, it's like, no, we can't.
I know. I'm like, okay, guys, I gotta go. No, I do, and honestly, like, I really appreciate you doing this for the first episode, because I honestly, I think that I really mean that. You know, I do. And I just think that this is, you're just one of those artists that your music like really connects to people on a deeper level, like more than just like normal like songs that come out where it's like, oh, this is a bop. Like I really believe that like you're a good example of the kind of music that people really do use as therapy. And I think now it's like, it's just a crazy time for people. I think that obviously like I feel lucky in my situation. I feel like, you know, I'm not sick and I'm around people that love me. And I think you probably, you know, feel the same way, but at the same time, it's so hard to, you know, sometimes you forget how many people are going through it. So I think it's good to like, you know, just talk to people and really just help. Even if you help one day for them to have a good day, it just makes, you know, I think it's all that.
Yeah, it's just so important to just have open, you know, communication with everybody and talk it out. I love it.
So I'm going to have a link in my stories to give back to the Jed Foundation. And Lennon, I could send you one too if you want, but I'll just continue to post about, you know, mental health. And obviously, you know, this is just an ongoing subject that I think we all relate to. So I don't know. I'm just so glad we could do that.
Me too. So sweet. I love this. So nice. I'm like, I feel like I just went to therapy.
I know. Oh yeah.
So good.
And I don't even know if you know this, but music was a sponsor for this too. And, you know, obviously we're all females and this is you know, a very, you know, to me, that's another kind of subject for mental health because I think a lot of females also struggle with just having a voice and things like that. So I think it was a reason why I wanted to include them in this because I think it's constantly like, you know, an issue to be like, oh, having to like, as an artist too, it's like, you know, you constantly face these things where you're like, why do females have to be objectified? Things like that, you know, just a whole nother thing that we could get into, but I just felt like it's such a relevant point to include them. So, and just the little shout out.
I'll send you like a link post or whatever. Thank you for nice to meet you virtually, Rylie.
Yeah, it was so great to talk with both of y'all. Really.
Oh, she's in Nashville too. I don't know. Did you know that, Lennon?
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel like a Nashville woman. I can feel it. I love that.
All right, guys. Love you, Lennon. Bye, Rylie.
Bye. Thanks, guys, for watching. Yay.